Got my steps in today. That was Tumamok Hill. It's about a mile and a half, more or less, straight up, 700 feet of elevation gain. And it's a fun local spot that is very, very popular. And I am using that for some of the things that I am working on right now. So I've been kind of trying to sort out how I want to pull it off, but I fully intend to sign up for the Bataan Memorial Death March in White Sands, New Mexico next year. So never done it, started a lot of research on it. So we're talking 26.2 miles, and it's gonna be a mix of asphalt and soft sand off-road, and sounds like there's like 1,400 foot elevation gain in the first half. So the first 13 miles with a nice sand pit that happens to hit you in the later 20s. And just kind of reading other people's experiences, YouTubing it. Folks that have trained for marathons before said this is like the hardest one they've done. Which makes it kind of like, yeah, all right, let's take a shot. So that is kind of where I'm steering things toward. I think it's really good to just have goal setting. That's what drives like your fitness and keeps you just active and doing stuff, which is just awesome. So I'm gonna set my sights on the big one. I wanna do Bataan. Now, previously, I've been using the 20-liter Rucker 4.0, and it's been great. Thinking ahead to this level of distance, I'm talking, it's like a 35-pound dry weight requirement. So then you add water, you add some odds and ends, and then you start getting to the low 40s pretty quick. For that length of time and that kind of mileage, and there's no PT really involved, that makes me kind of think more towards, all right, load carrying, using the hips, at least, for that equal weight distribution, maybe not necessarily relying on the hip carry the whole time. So there was a lot of stuff out there, a lot of considerations. There was, hey, get a surplus Alice. Well, most of them are, kind of knockoffs these days, or just beat the hell. Like, well, maybe get a Malice pack. Those some bitches are like $800-900 complete if you're going to buy it new. There's a Crossfire. DG3 was recommended, but now that's kind of been its own thing. The prices have gone up. They have I think it's the CF2 37-liter. That was a consideration because we're talking like external frame. You can kind of maneuver the harness system and the lumbar system and the hip belt. That kind of made sense. But then it was, all right, to meet that requirement, what kind of weight would I use? How would I stabilize it? I'm heavily invested in the GORUCK stuff. So going bigger with the GORUCK side of the house, I'm already in that ecosystem. It's gonna be a hell of a lot cheaper. So what my event ruck is planning to be is the 4.0 25-liter. This is coming right after their big Christmas in July sale. So if you wanted black, you could get that pretty cheap. It still did come with the all-white GORUCK logo, which was a little bit sad because I guess some of the newer ones are kind of blacked out. But anyway. So everything else is pretty much the same. We have a little bit more depth in the 25-liter than the 20, and we're about 2 inches longer in terms of height, and that's about it. So that extra 2 inches in the length is what I think is going to allow me to use that hip belt a little bit more effectively. On the 20-liter, and I've had the hip belt on there, comes to about the bottom of my ribs. It's a belly band. For stabilizing the ruck for the events in PT, that's fine, but it's not really helping you out much as far as the load bearing capacity. So knowing this is going to be kind of an endurance thing, with the 20-liter, I've focused really good on scapular retraction, depression, and getting those lats turned on so that I'm not using that upper trap, messing with the neck, and then these are just going to fatigue a whole lot faster. In the short term, that works fine for like the basics and the other events that I've done, or just kind of bopping around the neighborhood, 7-ish miles. Like, yeah, I could do that pretty well. Not 26 though, not with that kind of terrain and what I'm expecting this to be. So I want to use that to my advantage. So this is the first 3 miles on the 25-liter, 30-pound plate, water bladder. And really just the plate and the ruck itself, the way it's set up, measured it, it is 34.8 pounds. So we're pretty much at the requirement already. I did find a use for those simple side pockets that I had previously, putting them right on the back. One, it's gonna cover up that horrible logo a little bit. And two, just have some kind of accessible storage because there is no slash pocket on the front, and I don't want to mess with all that Velcro and open up the ruck if I have to. So that's where those are going. Continuing on with the first impressions, as you can kind of see, that frame sheet, when we're talking the short expert plate and the longer length of this bag, there is a slight tacoing to this. On your back, not really noticeable. You do notice, I feel, a little bit of movement kind of in that upper thoracic. Doing the trots on the downhills, I did feel it would kind of bounce vertically just a little bit, kind of in that T-spine. With the 210D, it's not like I got abrasions or anything. You just kind of notice it. So I'm playing with the sternum strap adjustment to get that all dialed in. So that's going to be the event ruck. Because it is a bigger bag and I'm not a bigger person, there are certain concessions in here and we're just going to have to adapt to it and roll on. The capacity between the two was another factor, because with the plate and bladder in this and just a couple things on the packing list I'm sort of cobbling together, it all fits, but it's tight. And you know, these are not known to have a whole lot of extra room in there by design. But when thinking like, all right, this is going to be extra doodads that I might need for something that long, loading this up with how I had it, it was putting a lot of pressure on that water bladder. It was getting a little bit of leakage. It's like, all right, so we want hip belt use, we want extra capacity. And now those were the kind of the driving factors of getting into the 25 liter. The packing list for Bataan, I'm looking to try to keep as minimal as I can, so that we just stay as close to that minimum weight requirement as I can without going over. So we already talked about the ruck, source bladder in there, the 30-pound expert plate in the pocket, and then we will be doing probably just one extra pair of socks. I love Darn Tough, the boot socks. Small travel sunscreen, electrolytes, my small little like 16-ounce Nalgene, just to kind of replace those salts, because as you're pounding that water all day, you're still losing them. So pretty much that, maybe a very minimal kind of a foot blister setup, either it's like some Body Glide trail toes or, you know, something along those lines, and then being prepared for weather. So looking at previous events, it could be 30 degrees and snowing, it could be 90 degrees and hot, maybe it switches, so having a little bit of extra room for those layers. The layers would be pretty much just like a beanie, the GORUCK Challenge windbreaker that I have, and maybe some gloves. So gonna be pretty minimal. Footwear wise, we're going Garmont T8 NFSs. I have relied on these for many years, gotten no problems with them, ran my 5K in them, and these are good to go. Glasses wise, we're going Blenders. This is the Pacer. I kind of look at it as like an Oakley M frame that actually fits my face. The nose bridge on here is adjustable. It just clicks in width right here, so you can get it dialed in and it stays put pretty good. No issues there, and kind of dig that picture. The other odds and ends that I will be carrying, this is the GORUCK FP1, their tactical fanny pack in small. It is small. Do kind of wish that the large was an option. Haven't seen it in stock for a while, because what I'm fixing to have in here would be a buff, one to kind of wipe your face. Could also be for all the wind and sand in there, kind of like the dust mask. We're gonna ditch in the hat or something like that. We got something right here to keep that sweat out of your face. So kind of a multifunctional kind of thing. A wipe for the sunglasses, because even today it's in the 90s and it's just after 9. So yeah, to wipe off the glasses, and then in the main body of it having the phone, the battery bank, and the wire to connect the two. The real estate starts getting real tight in here pretty quick. So other things that I may end up swapping out is the battery bank, going with one, I think it's by Charge. They have a MagSafe one where it'll attach to the phone itself, and so then I don't have to worry about the extra bulkiness of the wires. But this would be the quick access stuff on the go, so I spend less time having to stop and drop the ruck and get things in there. So maybe keeping the liquid IV packets in here, just the minimal odds and ends. So more or less equipment-wise, we're pretty well sorted. So then it comes to accommodations. So looking at other people's experiences with past events, the hotels, they fill up really quick. And if you do get one, you can expect to spend 90 minutes to 3 hours in traffic on event day because it's gonna be on a military base getting checked in. And you can't pick up the race packet remotely. You have to be there in person, and you can't do it on the race day. So I have to be in New Mexico at least a day beforehand. And then you have to, get up at a ridiculous hour in the morning just to get there by the start time. So the other option is camping out. They have a campground right on the site where the race is going to take place. So that makes more sense. Now the not having any camping gear, because that's not really my jam. We're going to be trying to see if the back of this Forester is as big as they say it is. We might have to camp out in the car. But that would just take out a lot of the race day stress and trying to find a place to be because I'm already there. Pop out the car and go, and then pop back in it and leave. So accommodations. So with all that set, it's really just going to come down to putting in the effort for the training portion of it. So as it stands right now, the tentative plan is I'm more or less going to stick with what I have been doing. So I do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's kettlebell training. On the Mondays, it's going to be the swings and Turkish get-ups. On the Tuesdays, it's going to be the squats and cleans and presses. I add pull-up work on each day, just different varieties of it. And then between Monday and Thursday, those are both going to be swing and get-up days. I play with the volume and weight cycle on that. And then on my Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's going to be the same thing, except the cleans and presses. Those are going to be reverse ladders. So we're just spending a lot of variety with time under tension. Like with the get-ups, spending periods of doing them for 5 minutes and that bell doesn't hit the ground. Reverse ladders with the clean and press, it's just kind of just spending time moving that weight without it touching. So that, especially because of those kinds of exercises, we're talking, it's full body, it's working your stabilizers because I just use the one bell. So we're getting unilateral, we're getting a lot of core control, a lot of get ups, a lot of hip work, some mobility in there. All of that, I think, is going to carry over into this event pretty well. Wednesdays, I make a yoga day because I'm 40 now, so mobility is going to be a big thing. And that has been working out pretty well. I like the results from that. Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. It's easy, it's free, it's 20, 30 minutes, you're not dying, and it actually really does help. Highly recommend. So then the weekends, because I work on Monday through Friday, this is where a lot of the ruck specific stuff is going to be. I'm not a huge advocate of doing multiple rucks per week, just because of the amount of stresses on the body, and you do need that recovery time. So right now it's July. I have until next March to kind of be in that shape. And also being in Arizona in the summer, it's like weapons grade nuclear hot right now. So we're just kind of feeling things out. So the weekends, we're working on in the neighborhood. We have some rolling hills, just doing hill repeats. Did about 6.5 miles of that last week. Today was Tumamoc Hill, which is the more severe incline with the switchbacks and more of a high intensity, short duration kind of thing. And we're just gonna play with both of those. Tumamoc, maybe we start getting, a lap and a quarter, a lap and a half, start building up on those laps. And the neighborhood stuff, just going distance. Not trying to go let's grab the 45-pound plate, make it heavy as possible, and then just suffer. Because from everything that I am reading from people who've been successful, this is just not the way to go. You're not gonna just hammer it with 50, 60 pounds and then just have that translate to a marathon. Not necessarily. Everybody's different, but that's just not how I'm gonna do it. there you kind of have the latest about what I've been working on. So we'll kind of just keep updating these things as they go. I expect this to kind of evolve and change as I go through this process of getting ready for that race. The impressions on the 25-liter Rucker, we will also keep updated on, because I expect that to kind of change as I start to kind of learn the little idiosyncrasies with it and the feel. So the Rucker sizing, boy, it's an issue that just never dies. And even me, like now I have both, and it's still like, this one's better at this one's better than that. Damn, this is hard. I would say, as of right now, with my experiences with it, that GORUCK's guidance and their sizing chart, going by the torso length and that at 20, 30 pound range, that I would say that is more or less accurate, and to a point. So walking around the neighborhood, doing your local rug club meets, doing some of the smaller distance events, I think that is accurate. This would be properly sized to me, and we're not really relying on the hip though. Their rucks are really meant for shoulder carry, so we're kind of shoehorning it into another thing, mainly because I don't want to get into another bag and their accessories and go down that rabbit hole. So that's where that 25 is coming in. So this is, according to their chart, too damn big for me. Normally, I would agree with that. However, it's going to come down to your use case. So I know that we're going to be loading up, fairly good weight, and we're going a really, really long way. I think back to a couple of GORUCK selections ago when they used to live stream that a lot more publicly than they do now. At Blaine Smith, if I'm getting that right, the former president of GORUCK, he was talking to a couple of selection finishers. They were talking about one of the long star courses, either the 50 mile or the 26.2. Blaine thought, all right, for that kind of distance, I want small and light. He was thinking radio ruck, it's a little 16-inch thing. Smallest, lightest possible thing to go that kind of distance. And the other two guys, Alex Stabdahl and I think it's Stoney Smith, both of them said, oh, no, that's the wrong way to go. You want to have that length. You want that thing sitting just about on the top of your ass if you want to go for distance. Both of those guys were around 6 feet or maybe just a little bit more, and they were using the GR2 40 liters for their events, which is a 22-inch long bag. So if we're thinking proportionally, for me at 5'10", the 20-inch bag kind of puts me about there. So we're going to be testing that theory. Does the length make that distance more or less doable? Or is it a personal preference and none of this matters and I have no advice to give you? I don't know. We're going to try it out, so I will just update you as we go.